Commander Vex-9 stared at the twisted metal debris floating in the void, his three eyes blinking in sequence. The human ship had been magnificent once, all gleaming titanium and aggressive angles. Now it resembled something a child might create after a particularly violent tantrum with building blocks. "Sir," his communications officer, Lieutenant Kral, turned from her station. "We're picking up a signal from the wreckage." A signal? Vex-9's mandibles clicked together in what humans might have called amusement. From that scrap heap? These humans really don't know when to quit, do they? The bridge of the Galactic Confederation vessel Dominion fell silent. Everyone knew the stories about humans. Stubborn, relentless, absolutely, completely, utterly insane. It's a distress beacon, sir," Kral continued, her voice dropping to a whisper. "But there's something else. A black box recording." Vex-9's tail twitched. Black boxes were sacred among spacefaring species. They contained the final moments, the last words, the dying breaths of crews who would never see home again. Even in war, they were treated with respect. "Retrieve it," he commanded. "Sir, are you sure?" This from his tactical officer, a nervous Zephyrian named Tosh. "The humans, they're known for their tricks." "What tricks?" Vex-9 snorted. "They're extinct, Tosh. We saw to that ourselves. Their homeworld is a smoking crater, their colonies are ash, and their fleet is," he gestured at the floating debris. "Well, you can see for yourself." The retrieval took an hour. The black box was surprisingly intact, a small rectangular device that looked almost innocent sitting on the analysis table. Vex-9 had fought humans for 3 years. He'd learned never to trust innocent-looking human technology. "Begin playback," he ordered. The holographic display flickered to life, showing the interior of the human ship's bridge. Vex-9 recognized the design. It was a Terran Defense Force vessel, probably their flagship considering the size of the wreckage. A human female sat in the captain's chair, her dark hair pulled back in a severe bun. Her uniform was torn, blood trickled from a cut on her forehead, and her eyes held the hollow look of someone who'd seen too much death. "Captain Maria Santos, TDF Retribution," her voice was steady despite the chaos around her. Final log entry. Stardate 2387.156. Sparks flew from damaged consoles. Other humans rushed back and forth, their faces grim with determination. One of them, a young man with engineer's stripes, called out damage reports that made Vex-9's skin crawl. "Hull breach on decks 7 through 12. We've lost life support to the entire forward section. Weapons are offline, Captain. Engines are down to 12%. Captain Santos nodded at each report as if they were discussing the weather. "Thank you, Lieutenant Beck. Commander Hayes, how many Confederation ships are we facing?" 17, ma'am. Including 3 dreadnoughts. Vex-9 remembered that battle. The humans had fought like demons, but 17 to 1 odds were impossible for anyone to overcome. Even humans. "Ah, yeah. 17, Santos repeated thoughtfully. "Well, that's not very sporting of them, is it?" Several of the bridge crew actually laughed. With their ship dying around them and death approaching at light speed, they laughed. Vex-9 felt his secondary stomach clench. These creatures were not natural. "Captain," another officer, this one wearing Science Division colors, approached with a tablet. "The quantum resonance field is ready." "Excellent work, Dr. Patel. How long do we have?" "In 43 minutes until the field reaches critical mass." After that, the scientist shrugged. "Well, after that it won't matter much, will it?" Santos stood from her chair, straightening her torn uniform. "Attention all hands. This is the captain speaking. In 43 minutes we're going to do something that's never been done before. We're going to show the Confederation what happens when you back humans into a corner." On the Dominion's bridge, Lieutenant Kral shifted uncomfortably. "Sir, what did she mean by quantum resonance field?" "I don't know," Vex-9 admitted. "But I have a feeling we're about to find out." The recording continued. The human ship shuddered under another barrage from Confederation weapons. Our systems failed. More crew members died. But Captain Santos remained calm, almost serene. Incoming transmission from the Confederation flagship, reported the communications officer. They put it through. Admiral Keth Prime's image appeared on the human ship's main screen. Vex 9 knew him well, a decorated veteran with more victories than any other commander in the fleet. His scaled face showed the usual Confederation arrogance. Human vessel, this is Admiral Keth Prime of the Galactic Confederation. You are defeated. Surrender now and we will grant you a quick death. Santos smiled. It was not a pleasant expression. Admiral, this is Captain Maria Santos. I have a counter-offer. West, you are in no position to negotiate human. Oh, but I am. Santos leaned forward in her chair. You see, Admiral, we've discovered something interesting about your species. Not about all the Confederation species, actually. You're quantum-locked. Keth Prime's expression didn't change, but Vex 9 noticed his tail spines flattening against his back, a sign of confusion among his people. Quantum-locked, Santos continued, means your consciousness, your very essence, is tied to specific quantum frequencies. Fascinating, really. Our scientists have been studying captured Confederation personnel for months. What are you talking about? Keth Prime demanded. I'm talking about the fundamental difference between humans and everyone else in this galaxy, Santos replied. You see, we're not quantum-locked. We're quantum-adaptive. We can exist at multiple frequencies simultaneously. It's what allows us to use hyperspace without going insane. It's what lets us survive in environments that would kill any other species. Dr. Patel approached the captain's chair. 30 minutes, Captain. Thank you, Doctor. Santos turned back to the screen. Admiral, in 30 minutes we're going to activate a quantum resonance field that will shift this entire star system to a frequency that your species cannot survive in. You'll simply stop existing. The bridge of the Dominion erupted in nervous chatter. Tosh was frantically checking his instruments while Kral tried to contact High Command. Vex 9 felt ice forming in his primary heart. That's impossible, Keth Prime snarled. No species has that kind of technology. No species except humans, Santos corrected. You made a mistake, Admiral. You assumed we were like you. You assumed we followed the same rules, had the same limitations. But we don't. Mike Tot, you're bluffing. Am I? Santos gestured to Dr. Patel. Doctor, please explain to the Admiral what will happen when we activate the field. Dr. Patel stepped forward, adjusting his glasses. The quantum resonance field will create a localized shift in space-time, altering the fundamental quantum frequency of everything within a 50 light-year radius. Confederation species, being quantum-locked, will experience immediate cellular breakdown. Death will be instantaneous and irreversible. And humans? And humans? I'll be completely unaffected. We'll adapt to the new frequency automatically. Admiral Keth Prime's image flickered as his ship's systems began to malfunction. Even if this were possible, you would die with us. Your ship is destroyed. Our ship, yes, Santos agreed. But not our crew. We have enough life support for the transition. After that, we'll simply wait for rescue. Rescue? Keth Prime laughed bitterly. From whom? We destroyed your entire fleet. Santos' smile widened. Oh, Admiral. You really don't understand humans at all, do you? We never put all our eggs in one basket. The fleet you destroyed? That was just the first wave. The real human military is still out there waiting. Vex 9 felt his knees go weak. The first wave? Everything they'd fought, everything they'd destroyed, had been just the opening move. 20 minutes, Captain, Dr. Patel announced. Impossible, Keth Prime whispered. We tracked every human ship, every colony, every outpost. We destroyed them all. You destroyed what we let you find, Santos corrected. Rule number 1 of human warfare, Admiral, never let your enemy know your true strength. Rule number 2, always have a backup plan. Rule number 3, when all else fails, take them with you. The recording showed chaos on the Confederation ships as they realized the truth. 17 vessels, including 3 dreadnoughts, began frantically trying to retreat, but it was too late. The quantum field was already beginning to form, visible as a shimmering distortion in space around the human ship. 15 minutes, Dr. Patel called out. The field is approaching critical mass. Excellent. Santos turned to her bridge crew. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been an honor serving with you. In 15 minutes, we're going to do something that will be remembered for the next 1,000 years. We're going to show the galaxy that humans don't surrender. We don't retreat. And we certainly don't forgive. Lieutenant Beck, the young engineer, looked up from his station. Captain, incoming priority message from Earth Command. So put it through. A new voice filled the bridge, calm and authoritative. Captain Santos, this is Admiral Rebecca Stone. We've been monitoring your situation. Admiral Stone, Santos replied. I wasn't aware anyone was left at Earth Command. Oh, we're here. We've been here all along. The Confederation thinks they destroyed Earth, but they only destroyed the decoy. The real Earth, the real command structure, the real military, we've been waiting. X9 felt his world crumbling. Earth was supposed to be gone. They'd watched it burn. They'd celebrated its destruction. Admiral, Santos said, we're about to activate the quantum resonance field. This will eliminate 17 Confederation vessels and clear the way for Phase 2. Understood, Captain. Your sacrifice will not be forgotten. All human forces, this is Admiral Stone. Operation Lazarus is now active. Repeat, Operation Lazarus is now active. The recording showed the human bridge crew exchanging glances. They knew what Operation Lazarus meant. FX9 didn't, but he was beginning to suspect it was nothing good. 10 minutes, Dr. Patel announced. The field is stable and ready for activation. Captain Lieutenant Beck called out, I'm detecting massive energy signatures throughout the galaxy. They're everywhere. Of course they are, Santos replied. Did you really think we'd go quietly into the night? We're humans. We're the species that looked at a universe full of predators and decided to become the apex predator. We're the species that turned warfare into an art form. Admiral Keth Prime's image reappeared on the screen. His proud demeanor was gone, replaced by something that looked almost like panic. Captain Santos, we can negotiate. We can find a peaceful solution. Negotiate? Santos laughed. Admiral, you glassed our colonies. You murdered our children. You declared war on the human race. Did you really think we'd just roll over and die? We can offer you territory, resources, anything you want. What we want, Santos said softly, is justice. What we want is to make sure this never happens again. What we want is to show the galaxy that humans are not prey. 5 minutes, Dr. Patel announced. All systems are green. Captain Santos stood from her chair one final time. Crew of the Retribution, it's been an honor. We're about to become legends. She turned to the screen showing Admiral Keth Prime's terrified face. Admiral, allow me to leave you with some final words of wisdom. Never underestimate humans. Never attack our families. And never, ever assume you've won until the last human in the galaxy is dead. Captain, her communications officer called out, we're receiving transmissions from across the galaxy. Human ships are decloaking everywhere. EM. The Second Fleet, the Third Fleet, the Deep Space Reconnaissance Force, they're all moving into position. Santos nodded. Then our job here is done. Dr. Patel, activate the quantum resonance field. Activating in 3, 2, 1. The recording ended abruptly as the quantum field activated. The holographic display went dark, leaving the bridge of the Dominion in stunned silence. Vex 9 stared at the empty display, his mind reeling. Everything they'd believed about the war, about human capabilities, about their victory, it was all wrong. Sir, Lieutenant Kral's voice was barely a whisper. I'm detecting massive energy signatures throughout the sector. They're human signatures. How many? Why? Thousands, sir. Maybe tens of thousands. They're everywhere. Vex 9 closed his eyes. They'd been played, as completely, utterly played. The humans had let them think they were winning while preparing for something far worse. Sir, Tosh called out from his station, incoming transmission. It's from Earth. That's impossible. Earth is destroyed. Sir, you need to see this. The main screen flickered to life, showing a human female in Admiral's uniform. She was older than Captain Santos, with silver hair and eyes that held the weight of command. Greetings, Confederation forces. I am Admiral Rebecca Stone of the Terran Defense Force. I believe you've just witnessed what happens when you underestimate humanity. Vex 9 found his voice. Earth is destroyed. We saw it burn. You saw what we wanted you to see, Admiral Stone replied. On a decoy planet, populated by volunteers who knew they were sacrificing themselves for the greater good. The real Earth, the real human civilization, has been preparing for this moment for 3 years. Preparing for what? Admiral Stone smiled. It was the same cold smile Captain Santos had worn. For the moment when we stop pretending to be the underdog and start being what we've always been, the most dangerous species in the galaxy. The screen filled with images, human fleets decloaking around Confederation worlds, human troops emerging from hidden bases, human weapon systems that defied known physics. The scope of it was overwhelming. You see, Admiral Stone continued, we learned something important about galactic civilization. Everyone assumes that the newest species, the youngest race, must be the weakest. But humans didn't get to the top of Earth's food chain by being weak. We got there by being smart, ruthless, and absolutely relentless. What do you want? Vex 9 asked. What we've always wanted, to be left alone. But since that's no longer possible, we'll settle for making sure no one ever threatens humanity again. The transmission ended, leaving the bridge in darkness. Vex 9 sat in his command chair, staring at the wreckage of the human ship that had just eliminated 17 Confederation vessels with a single, impossible weapon. Sir, Lieutenant Kral whispered, what are your orders? Vex 9 looked around at his crew, seeing his own fear reflected in their faces. They'd thought they were fighting a war against a primitive species. Instead, they'd stumbled into a trap set by the most dangerous predators in the galaxy. Send a message to High Command, he said quietly. Tell them we need to talk. But even as he gave the order, Vex 9 knew it was too late. The humans had revealed their true nature, and the galaxy would never be the same again. In the distance, more human ships began to decloak, their weapon systems powered and ready. The real war was just beginning. The response from Confederation High Command took 6 hours. 6 hours during which Vex 9 watched human ships materialize from nowhere like ghosts becoming solid. His sensors counted over 200 vessels in their immediate sector alone, and reports were flooding in from across the galaxy. Sir, Kral announced, voice trembling, High Command is ordering all units to fall back to defensive positions around core worlds. Defensive positions? Vex 9's laugh was bitter. Against an enemy that can apparently bend reality itself? What's next, hiding behind our security blankets? The main screen crackled to life, showing Grand Admiral Yoth Supreme, the highest military authority in the Confederation. His usual composure was notably absent, replaced by something Vex 9 had never seen before, genuine fear. All commanders, Yoth Supreme began, we have severely underestimated human capabilities. Modern intelligence reports indicate they possess technology far beyond our understanding. We are implementing Protocol 7 immediately. Protocol 7. Vex 9 felt his blood chill. It was the last resort option, designed for facing extinction-level threats. The kind of threats that could end entire civilizations. Furthermore, Yoth Supreme continued, we have received a communication from the human leadership. They are offering terms. Terms? The humans were offering terms? After demonstrating they could erase entire fleets with impossible weapons? All sector commanders will report to Nexus Station for an emergency council. We will hear what the humans have to say." The transmission ended, leaving Vex 9 staring at his reflection in the dark screen. 3 years ago, he'd been hunting humans through asteroid fields, picking off their supply ships like a predator stalking wounded prey. Now those same humans were dictating terms to the most powerful military alliance in galactic history. "Sir," Tosh interrupted his thoughts, "the human fleet is moving." "Moving where?" "Well, toward us. But they're not targeting us. They're forming an escort formation." Vex 9 blinked all three eyes in sequence. "An escort? For us?" "It appears so, sir. And sir? They're transmitting something." The screen flickered again, showing a human male this time. He was younger than Admiral Stone, with close-cropped brown hair and the kind of easy confidence that made Vex 9's tail bristle. "Commander Vex 9, this is Captain Jake Morrison of the TDF Prometheus. We're here to provide safe passage to Nexus Station." "Safe passage?" Vex 9 couldn't hide his incredulity. "And from who?" "Or from some of your own people," Morrison replied matter-of-factly. "Turns out not everyone in the Confederation is happy about the idea of negotiating with humans. There have been several attempts to intercept ships heading to Nexus Station." "Can't have that, can we?" Vex 9 stared at the human captain. "You're protecting us? From our own forces?" "Wild concept, isn't it?" Morrison grinned. "But here's the thing, Commander. We're not monsters. We don't want to wipe out entire species just because we can. We want this war to end, preferably with everyone still breathing." "But you could destroy us," Vex 9 said quietly. "Easily." "Oh, absolutely," Morrison agreed cheerfully. "We could turn every Confederation world into a smoking crater by next Tuesday. But where's the fun in that? Besides, genocide is messy and humans hate cleanup duty." Despite everything, Vex 9 found himself almost smiling. These humans were absolutely insane. The transit to Nexus Station took 12 hours. True to their word, the human escort dealt with 3 separate Confederation attack groups that tried to intercept the diplomatic convoy. Vex 9 watched in fascination as human ships moved with impossible precision, disabling rather than destroying their attackers. "They're not even trying to kill us," Tosh observed. "They could have vaporized those interceptors, but they just knocked out their weapons and engines." "Professional courtesy," Morrison explained when Vex 9 asked. "We know what it's like to follow orders you don't necessarily agree with. Besides, dead soldiers can't learn from their mistakes." Nexus Station was the largest artificial structure in Confederation space, a massive diplomatic complex capable of housing representatives from hundreds of species. When the Dominion docked, Vex 9 was surprised to find human security teams already in place, working alongside Confederation personnel. But how did they get here so fast? Kral wondered aloud. "They were probably here before we even knew this meeting was happening," Vex 9 replied. "These humans seem to be everywhere at once." The council chamber was a vast amphitheater designed to accommodate the diverse physiologies of Confederation species. Representatives from dozens of worlds filled the seats, their various forms of nervous energy creating a palpable tension in the air. At the center of the chamber stood a simple table with 2 chairs. In one sat Grand Admiral Yoth Supreme, looking smaller than Vex 9 had ever seen him. In the other sat a human female who couldn't have been more than 40 cycles old, wearing a simple black uniform with no visible rank insignia. "Honored representatives," Yoth Supreme began, his voice echoing through the chamber, "I present Director Sarah Vance of the Terran Diplomatic Corps." Director Vance stood, and the chamber fell silent. When she spoke, her voice carried easily without amplification, each word crisp and clear. 3 years ago, your forces attacked human colonies without warning or provocation. You declared us a threat to galactic stability and initiated what you called a cleansing action. Today, I'm here to discuss the terms of your surrender. The chamber erupted in angry voices from dozens of species. Vance waited patiently for the noise to subside before continuing. I understand your confusion. You're wondering how a species you'd written off as primitive could possibly be in a position to dictate terms. The answer is simple. You never bothered to really understand what you were fighting. She activated a holographic display showing star charts of the galaxy. You assumed humans were like every other species you'd encountered. Predictable, limited, bound by the same physical and technological constraints that govern your own development. The display shifted, showing human settlements throughout the galaxy. Not the ones the Confederation had destroyed, but new ones. Hidden ones. Thousands of them. What you failed to realize is that humans are the ultimate adaptive species. We don't just survive in hostile environments, we thrive in them. We don't just learn from our mistakes, we turn them into advantages. Impossible, snarled Representative Korth 9 of the hegemony. Our intelligence networks are the most sophisticated in the galaxy. We would have detected such widespread colonization. Vance smiled. Would you? Tell me, Representative, how do you detect something that doesn't want to be detected? How do you find colonies that exist in dimensions you can't even perceive? The holographic display changed again, showing what appeared to be empty space. Then the view shifted, revealing massive human installations existing in some kind of parallel dimension. Phase shift technology, Vance explained. We developed it about 50 years ago. It allows us to exist in the same physical space as normal matter while remaining completely undetectable. Every destroyed human colony was simply shifted out of phase before your attacks arrived. X9 felt sick. They'd been fighting shadows while the real human civilization watched from another dimension entirely. But that's not even the interesting part, Vance continued. The interesting part is what we learned about you while you thought you were winning. New images appeared, detailed scans of Confederation biology, technology, even psychology. The level of detail was staggering. Every battle you fought, every ship you destroyed, every human you captured, gave us more information about your capabilities and limitations. We studied you with the same intensity that you studied lab specimens. What did you learn? Yoth Supreme asked quietly. That you're predictable, Vance replied bluntly. Individually intelligent, but collectively predictable. You follow patterns, establish hierarchies, create rules, and then rigidly adhere to them. It makes you excellent at building civilizations but terrible at adapting to unexpected threats. She gestured, and the display showed tactical analyses of Confederation military doctrine. Your entire strategic philosophy is based on overwhelming force and technological superiority. When you encounter a problem, you throw more ships at it, more weapons, more resources. You never consider that your enemy might be playing by completely different rules. And humans don't follow rules? Representative Korth 9 demanded. Oh, we follow rules, Vance assured him. We just write our own. For example, Rule 1, never fight fair if you can help it. Rule 2, always have a backup plan. Rule 3, when in doubt, confuse the enemy. Rule 4, if you can't win by being stronger, win by being smarter. The chamber had fallen completely silent. Every representative was hanging on her words, and Vex 9 understood why. This human was casually dissecting 3,000 years of Confederation military doctrine. Which brings us to today, Vance continued. You're probably wondering what our terms are. What we want in exchange for not turning your worlds into uninhabitable wastelands. Name your price, Yoth Supreme said. Vance sat back down, crossing her legs casually. We want you to leave us alone. Completely, forever. No more cleansing actions. No more threat assessments. No more anything. You pretend we don't exist, and we'll extend you the same courtesy. That's it? Representative Korth 9 couldn't hide his disbelief. You could demand anything. Territory, resources, tribute. We don't want your territory, Vance replied. We have our own, and frankly most of your worlds are too boring for human tastes. We don't need your resources, we can synthesize anything we need. And we certainly don't want your tribute. What would we do with it? Then why? Yoth Supreme asked. Why demonstrate such overwhelming force just to ask for isolation? Vance's expression grew serious. Because isolation only works if everyone respects it. You attacked us once. We want to make absolutely certain you never even consider doing it again. She stood and walked to the center of the chamber. Understand this clearly, today's demonstration was not our full capability. It wasn't even close. The quantum resonance weapon you witnessed? We have thousands of them. The phase shift technology? Every human ship, station, and colony is equipped with it. The hidden fleets? What you've seen represents maybe 5% of our actual military strength. The silence was deafening. Vex 9 could hear his own heartbeat echoing in his ears. We could have ended this war in the first week, Vance continued. We could have phase shifted our entire fleet into orbit around your core worlds and demanded surrender. We could have quantum shifted your leadership into non-existence. We could have done a lot of things. Why didn't you? Yoth Supreme whispered. Because that's not who we are, Vance replied simply. Humans don't conquer. We don't enslave. We don't commit genocide, no matter how justified it might seem. I defend ourselves when attacked, but we don't become the monsters we're fighting against. She returned to her chair. However, that restraint comes with conditions. You will never again threaten human interests. You will never again attempt to study or infiltrate human space. You will treat any human vessels you encounter with the same respect you would show your own. And if we refuse? Representative Korth 9 asked. Vance shrugged. Then we stop being nice. And trust me, nobody wants to see humans when we stop being nice. The vote was unanimous. Every Confederation world agreed to the terms, though Vex 9 suspected fear played a larger role than wisdom in that decision. As the representatives filed out of the chamber, Vex 9 found himself approaching Director Vance. She looked up at him with curious eyes. Commander Vex 9, isn't it? The one who found the black box? Yes, I am. I wanted to ask, was any of this real? The suffering, the losses, Captain Santos and her crew. Vance's expression softened. Every death was real, Commander. Every sacrifice was genuine. The people who died fighting this war, on both sides, believed they were fighting for something important, and that makes their deaths meaningful, regardless of the larger strategic picture. But you could have prevented it all. Could we? Vance asked. Commander, what would have happened if we'd revealed our true capabilities from the beginning? Would the Confederation have simply accepted human superiority and left us alone? Or would you have united every species in the galaxy against us out of fear? X9 considered this. You would have been seen as the ultimate threat. Exactly. Sometimes the only way to win a war is to let your enemy think they're winning until it's too late to change course. It's not pleasant, but it's effective. She stood to leave, then paused. Commander, would you like some advice? Please. Manon, go home. Hug your family. Forget about humans entirely. Live your life as if this conversation never happened. Trust me, you'll be much happier. As Vance walked away, Vex 9 realized she was right. The humans had revealed themselves to be so far beyond Confederation capabilities that continued conflict was meaningless. They could end the war any time they chose, but they chose not to. They were, in their own terrifying way, merciful. 6 months later, Vex 9 received a package at his home on Vega Prime. Inside was a bottle of something called whiskey and a note, "Thanks for treating our dead with respect. Enjoy retirement. Captain Jake Morrison, TDF Prometheus." Vex 9 poured himself a drink and raised it in a toast to Captain Santos and her crew. They died believing they were humanity's final weapon, never knowing they were just part of an elaborate performance designed to end a war without genocide. The whiskey burned going down, but it was a good burn. Human liquor, like humans themselves, was deceptively complex. Outside his window, stars twinkled in the peaceful night sky. Somewhere among them, humans continued their mysterious existence, writing their own rules and following their own paths. And for the first time in 3 years, Vex 9 slept without nightmares. The war was over. Humanity had won by being exactly what they'd always been, unpredictable, adaptable, and utterly, completely impossible to understand. And that, Vex 9 realized, was probably the point.